Living Local Carolina with Katie Turner. Local trends, shopping, dining, and more. This is Living Local Carolina.
Welcome back to First Edition Chats with Nicole. I'm Nicole Boone. Volunteers helping those in need, that's the mission of Created to Serve. Founder Lee Knight is my guest today. Welcome, I'm so happy to have you.
No, thank you for having me.
Of course, Created to Serve is a nonprofit based out of Timmonsville. You're doing some wonderful things in the PD community. Tell me more.
Well, we get together on, the community gets together and does meals for the needy. We do wheelchair ramps and kind of minor repairs if needed, if that's something that we can do.
Yeah, talk about how it all came about, Lee. It really was something that just started simply as helping people in your community with a few meals.
Yeah, so my wife and I decided to make a couple Thanksgiving meals for people in our local community that might be in need, and once people found out what we were doing, they said they wanted to get involved, and it went from 3 meals to last year was almost 2,800 meals.
That takes a lot of time and effort to
Absolutely.
Put all of that together. Talk about the process and how people can help.
Well, obviously we need volunteers and we need funding, but yeah, the planning process, people are asking me all the time, why am I talking about Thanksgiving in January?
Yeah.
So it literally takes, 9-10 months to get things gathered for feeding. This year, I think we're planning on 5,000 for Thanksgiving.
Wow, and you do that in Timmonsville at your home church, which is where?
Yeah, so we are in Timmonsville, but the church is in Darlington.
Okay.
And it's Faith Chapel Church. We use the gym area just to kind of coordinate everything and for people to have a central location to come pick things up and distribute it. So.
What is it like for you to see all of it come together on Thanksgiving to feed so many people? It has to warm your heart.
Oh yeah, it's just seeing the people that receive the meals or that actually get the ramps. I mean, you can't put words on it just because of the reaction some of the people have. And
why is it so important for you to be involved in doing this and others that are involved?
Well, the Lord put it on my heart, quite a few years ago with that first meal, that, we as individuals, most of us are very blessed.
Yes.
And, there's a lot of people that do without. And, if I can sacrifice a little bit on my side and help somebody out that can use it, then, hey, more power.
Isn't the gift really in giving?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, speak more to that as far as a lot of people just don't take the time to do that.
Well, they get caught up in daily life, and they just kind of think of them, not intentionally, but they think about themselves and what they've got going on, and there's people that live in the woods, there's people that live in motels, and people that they don't have a home, they don't have a car, they don't have food in the refrigerator, and every little bit helps.
So as you prepare for your next project, whether it be a wheelchair ramp or helping someone with home repairs or these meals that come up in Thanksgiving and Christmas, how can people help you to serve others?
We always have the need for volunteers. We don't actually know who's going to show up to help out until the day of the event.
Wow.
So if people are willing to help, then they can let us know via Facebook, email, or phone call. Get on the list. Maybe they can't do every project, but if they're available, then we can reach out to them. And funding, everything costs money.
Sure.
And today, everything costs a lot more money.
It sure does.
So the funding is always a necessity.
Yeah. As we close, what are your final thoughts on Created to Serve and what it means to you?
Well, we're created to serve God and to serve others. And, we just need to remember that.
Lee, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, if you'd like to learn more about Creative to Serve, you can go to their Facebook page, and we will be right back.
We'll be back right after this break with more Living Local Carolina.
Welcome to Burgess Community Garden. This is a new concept for us that we just started last year. We have this beautiful land, 5 acres, and we happen to have an opportunity to indeed grow and develop and decide what it is we're going to do on this land. One of the things I've done for a long time is I've done outreach. And so not only am I part of the Unity Burgess community, but the outreach community also, is that I was listening to a program by the Boys and Girls Club of the Southern East region. And one of the organizations, I think in Alabama, indicated that they had a food bank and a community garden. So back in 2018, we had inherited this, and then last year I thought, oh, this will be wonderful because we'll be able to bring in the Burgess community, the surrounding community that was historically Black and now is very diverse, but also all the groups of people that we work with. We work with Help for Kids, and we've long worked and supported them, as well as the Boys and Girls Club of Myrtle Beach and Helping Hand and Family Justice. What a good opportunity to indeed start to use the land to indeed provide produce and vegetables to help all the community in terms of that, because as everyone knows, or many of us know, is that hunger is still a reality. What is it we could do to invest in the community? Bringing what it is we produce and having the community help us produce some of that, the local community help us in terms of feeding those that are in need. And that's individuals, that's communities, that's organizations. So as a result of that, Ken, who is my major master only gardener at this point in time, knew what to do in terms of building the garden. So these 2 gardens were produced as demonstration gardens, and they're primarily herbs and spices and some vegetables. And so we've grown from there. I had written a grant, Home Depot indeed responded to it, so we got a $3,200 grant indeed to build vegetable beds, and that's what we did. They came out and they built 12 beds for us so that we could indeed grow the produce that is needed and necessary and wanted by the community that I have indicated earlier.
Joining us today on Living Local Carolina is author and speaker Marcus Gill. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Glad to have you back on the show.
I'm excited. I'm thrilled.
Yes,
Yeah.
we talked to you about content creation and what that looks like. And now today for our viewers, I wanted to talk about self-publishing for those who have been dreaming of writing a book. I know you've written a few, so
That's right.
What's your process like?
You know what? My process is all about peace and quiet, telling my story, being 100% genuine, but also being very straightforward with how I get my message across.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people think that self-publishing is difficult. It's not. You don't need so much. You don't need even a lot of labor when you're just telling your story.
Right.
And you got to be very consistent in just telling your story.
Okay, so your first step is making sure you get peace and quiet.
Peace and quiet.
Getting in a nice, quiet place.
That's right, because focus is important.
So for you, do you try to write so many chapters at a time?
Well, sure. Yeah, that's a good question. You know, my structure is to come up with the subject matter, and I normally break the subject matter down into 10 sections.
Okay.
And then I break each subject matter down into 5 sections.
Woo! 10, 5.
And I do 1,000 words per section per chapter.
Wow.
So if I do 10 chapters, 5 sections with 5,000 words apiece, I got a $50,000 word book, and hopefully we'll make $50,000.
So what you're saying is you have an outline and you have a
Absolutely.
goal on how much content you want in each section of the book.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So are you a writer or are you more of a dictator on paper? For
Well, you
me.
know, I go between both.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I can do the dictation, but I also like to write because sometimes in writing, you think more.
Okay.
It's one of the things that I've realized. Writing helps us to think more. The dictation portion just is a conversation.
Right.
But writing says, I get to think. Then you can go into the depth of your story. Where if you would have done dictation, you would have had a 5-sentence paragraph. But with writing, you'll end up with a 10-sentence paragraph with more detail that's really going to impact your reader.
Okay, so
Yeah.
sitting down with pen and paper, the old school way.
Old school way.
Yes, and just writing it out.
I'm looking forward to the books that are going to be produced from your viewers.
Yes, you guys let me know what you think about this and if you've started writing. See you again next time.
We'll be back right after this break with more Living Local Carolina.
Joining me today on Living Local Carolina is Jerica Smalls. She is a fantastic graphic designer and tattoo artist. How are you?
I'm well today, thank you.
Good, I'm so happy to speak with you. This is exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so let's just kind of get a background on how you fell in love with art, being an artist.
Okay, so it started well before my college years. I did graduate for arts, for graphic design.
Okay.
2 degrees in that, but it started in 4th grade when I was 9, 10 years old, and I started experimenting with different arts and drawing. That's when I fell in love with it. So, yeah.
Let's back up to 2 degrees
Yeah.
in graphic design.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So graphic design, just really before going into it, I did love art, you know what I'm saying? So that's what drew me into it. And I didn't know what field to go into in college to do arts and still love what I do. So I chose graphics. It was similar to, you know, art. So it allowed me and groomed me to like learn techniques and learn how to experiment with different apps and just learning how to branch out as far as just drawing. Because I started off with drawing. And then I learned how to do so much more with, you know, graphic design.
So the first degree was in graphics, and the second
They're
one.
both. One was associates, one was a bachelor's.
Oh, okay,
so, yeah.
I got you. So
Yeah.
you just heavily pursued
Yeah,
it. That's
definitely,
so
yeah.
good. That's so good. You stayed the course.
Yeah.
All right. So I know that, you know, most tattoo artists are men. You know, so this is a male-dominated role. And I just want to hear your thoughts. Like, how has that been for you? Do you kind of, some customers, are they kind of like skeptical? Like, what has your experience been?
And so starting out, it was rocky because, you know, I'm trying to get my feet wet, trying to test it out. And I've reached out to other male local artists, people that I consider to be like, you know, friends in the same field, but those men, and they weren't so open to giving as much as advice as I thought that they would be. So with that being said, I had clients that were like doing someone and then they would say, you know, they'd be on the phone with someone and they'd say, oh, you know, you're being tattooed by a woman. And I was just like, oh no, I can't do that. And I'm hearing the whole conversation. I'm just like, oh wow, but wait till they see my work. Wait till they see what I have to offer. So yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's something. That's great that you are actually still like staying the course and pursuing, you know, your passion for art. Are there any other ways that you kind of intertwine being an artist, like in other facets other than just being a tattoo artist?
Yes, absolutely. So I love doing, in college, I learned how to do like mixed and multimedia. So that branched me off to doing like more painting and more things that I had to deal with other like acrylics or like a resin or things to like create versus staying flat on paper. So that pushed me to deal with clay or like, you know, more metal objects. So now I try to reconstruct things. I rebuild furniture. I construct, you know, I do walls and murals. I do, I play with resin a lot. Resin is interesting to me. And you can go so far with resin as far as creating different things. So
I've been learning that, by the way.
My biggest thing outside of tattoo work is painting. So yeah. And I want to do larger canvases. So, yeah.
Right. Wow. Well, this is so great. I feel so inspired. I'm a designer too, so I love now graphics. I'm not going to be able to do
That's all right.
but graphics and things. So I absolutely love just this freedom to create.
Absolutely.
I guess, what would you say is your biggest inspiration as an artist?
Well, my biggest inspiration to keep me afloat and that drives me is my son. I do have a 5-year-old son. But with that being said, I'm trying to just show him that there are other ways to, you know, put yourself out there and be creative. So even though we are, with me, I couldn't find my way in a corporate world. Like, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't for me. So even though I did the college thing and pushed graphics, I knew that wasn't my section. So here I am. It's like I want to inspire others that even though college might have not worked out. You might have thought you had a different direction. You have to branch out and figure out what creative, journey you can go on to see if you can branch out and be greater.
This is great. This is inspiring. Thank you so much, Jerica. I hope that our viewers are taking notes and encouraged to pursue their passion.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to like our page on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. How to use the QR code. Just open the camera app on your smartphone, iPad, or tablet. Point your device at the QR code so the QR code appears on your screen. Your device will recognize the QR code and show you a notification. Click that notification and you'll come to our website. Living Local Carolina, weekday mornings at 9:30 on WBTW News 13.